not work as well. So they looked in this group of men and found that when they combined the normal treatment of androgen deprivation therapy, where they reduce hormones, combined with another drug called abiraterone, it greatly improved survival compared to just the hormone therapy on its own.
Dr. Anya McCarthy from Cancer Research UK. Some breaking news to bring you now. We're getting reports via Reuters news agency that police are attending an incident at London Bridge in central London. We understand that these police officers are armed, and there is a report to suggest that London Bridge station is closed. That's Reuters quoting London Transport. Well, we can speak now to Holly Jones, who's a BBC reporter. Holly, tell us where you are and what you can see.
Yes, hello. I'm currently on London Bridge at the moment. I'm on the right-hand side, facing away from the Shard. About 10 minutes or so ago, a white van driver came speeding, probably about 50 miles an hour, veered off the road into the crowds of people that were walking, pedestrians walking along the pavement. He swerved right round me and then hit about 5 or 6 people. He hit about 2 people in front of me and then 3 behind. I'd say there's at least 4 severely injured people. They all have paramedics assisting them at the moment. There's about 20 armed police on the bridge at the moment. I'm unaware as where the van driver has gone now. It was a white transit van with 1 solo male driver. One of the victims was a French lady. She's 45 years old. She had a boyfriend with her who we can't actually find at the moment, which is obviously very worrying. But yeah, nobody really knows what's going on. All the traffic has been halted.
How quickly were the emergency services there?
So the police arrived within probably two minutes' time. There were several sort of people with camera phones, and they'd obviously been taking pictures of Tower Bridge. The police arrived within 2 minutes, and then the ambulances probably took about 8 minutes. I'd probably say I was the first person on the scene that called the ambulances. But yeah, ambulances here within probably 6 to 8 minutes.
And where is the vehicle?
I'm unsure as to where the vehicle is. So it was probably central, the middle part of the bridge that it impacted most sort of pedestrians. And then it carried on up the pavement, around the traffic, and carried on towards the Shard area. Apologies about the noise. Obviously, you can hear we've got helicopters. There's at least 5 or 6 police boats searching the Thames at the moment. And all the traffic is halted on London Bridge.
You say that the police boats are out on the river. Why would that be? From
the way that it seemed that I saw what happened. Obviously, it happened very quickly. As I say, there was about 3 people behind me, 3 French people. One of them, who is the victim that's being treated by paramedics at the moment, she is severely injured. She had 2 other people with her, and she's told me that in French. I don't know where those 2 other people are. So the police are checking the Thames. They were right next to sort of the edge of the bridge, and it looked potentially they could have been thrown over, but I just don't know. So I presume the boats are there looking for her now.
Of course, this is all horribly reminiscent of what happened on Westminster Bridge only a few weeks ago. I can hear sirens in the background. How many more emergency service vehicles of various types are now arriving?
Okay, so at the moment I can see there's about 4 ambulances, 5 police cars. They tend to be at each end of the bridge, and there's one sort of undercover police car in the central of the bridge where I'm standing now. There's armed guards with guns who are kind of running up and down. I'm not sure what exactly they're doing, but obviously, as soon as it happened, the first thing it reminded me of was the Westminster attack. Now, I saw this driver. Whether it was drink driving or not, I don't know, but from the way I saw it. Yeah, all of it. I'm sorry, I've got the police calling me at the moment.
Don't worry, Holly, you obviously need to go and speak to them. Thank you very much. We can see these pictures now live from London Bridge, right in the centre of the capital. Just speaking there to Holly Jones, who's BBC reporter, who was very close to the scene when this incident happened. And the first reports we got of it by Reuters news agency saying that British Armed Police who have been called to London Bridge. The area has been closed due to a major police incident, is what the Transport for London are saying. But we heard there from Holly that she was one of the first people on the scene and was able to call the emergency services, and several people have been hurt. She thinks that several of them have sustained serious injuries because this white van, she described it as a white transit van, swerved as it was going across the bridge and hit maybe 5 or 6 people, and her assessment was that there are about 4 people who were severely injured. Paramedics on the scene with ambulances arriving after about 8 minutes or so after the alarm was first raised. And the driver has gone off. There's no sign of the driver or the van. But Holly was just explaining there are about 20 armed police officers at that point on the bridge. Obviously, they've thrown a cordon across the bridge so that the traffic can't get across. British police are just saying that they're dealing with an incident, nothing more at the moment. The Sun newspaper, again quoted by Reuters, is reporting that a car, or maybe a van, mowed down passengers on London Bridge. That's exactly what Holly described, and she was there, of course, but she said that there were more armed police arriving in the last few minutes, and she could see police officers running across the bridge with their weapons, and also the helicopter is out, and police boats are on the River Thames because there was a suggestion that some of the people who were injured were actually with other pedestrians, and they can't be accounted for at the moment. I think we might be able to hear what Holly told us in just a second, but these are live pictures. You can see nothing much appears to be happening, but we can just see the blue lights of the various emergency service vehicles. As Holly said, it will remind people of the appalling events of on Westminster Bridge a few weeks ago when a similar incident happened, and now we know, of course, that was terror-related, but at the moment, too early to tell. Just a major incident is being described via the Reuters news agency. Various people reporting the same thing. The managing editor of The Spectator magazine had spoken to Reuters in the first instance, and that's when we first got warning that this had happened. Of course, it at first seemed like just some kind of road traffic accident, but clearly there are quite a few people who seem to have sustained injuries of one kind or another, but very little detail coming in at the moment. But we can hear again what Holly Jones was telling us a few moments ago. She's a BBC reporter, and she was on London Bridge as this incident unfolded.
I'm currently on London Bridge at the moment. I'm on the right-hand side, facing away from the Shard. About 10 minutes or so ago, a white van driver came speeding, probably about 50 miles an hour, veered off the road into the crowds of people that were walking, pedestrians walking along the pavement. He swerved right round me and then hit about 5 or 6 people. He hit about 2 people in front of me and then 3 behind. I'd say there's at least 4 severely injured people. They all have paramedics assisting them at the moment. There's about 20 armed police on the bridge at the moment. I'm unaware as where the van driver has gone now. It was a white transit van with 1 solo male driver. One of the victims was a French lady. She's 45 years old. She had a boyfriend with her who we can't actually find at the moment, which is obviously very worrying. But yeah, nobody really knows what's going on. All the traffic has been halted.
How quickly were the emergency services there?
So the police arrived within probably two minutes' time. There were several sort of people with camera phones, and they'd obviously been taking pictures of Tower Bridge. The police arrived within 2 minutes, and then the ambulances probably took about 8 minutes. I'd probably say I was the first person on the scene that called the ambulances. But yeah, ambulances here within probably 6 to 8 minutes.
And where is the vehicle?
I'm unsure as to where the vehicle is. It was probably central, the middle part of the bridge that it impacted the most sort of pedestrians, and then it carried on up the pavement, around the traffic, and carried on towards the Shard area. Apologies about the noise. Obviously, you can hear we've got helicopters. There's at least 5 or 6 police boats searching the Thames at the moment, and all the traffic is halted on London Bridge.
You say that the police boats are out on the river. Why would that be? From the way that it seemed that I saw what happened. Obviously, it happened very quickly. As I say, there was about 3 people behind me, 3 French people. One of them, who is the victim that's being treated by paramedics at the moment, she is severely injured. She had 2 other people with her, and she's told me that in French. I don't know where those 2 other people are. So the police are checking the Thames. They were right next to sort of the edge of the bridge, and it looked potentially they could have been thrown over, but I just don't know. So I presume the boats are there looking for her now. Of course, this is all horribly reminiscent of what happened on Westminster Bridge only a few weeks ago. I can hear sirens in the background. How many more emergency service vehicles of various types are now arriving?
Okay, so at the moment I can see there's about 4 ambulances, 5 police cars. They tend to be at each end of the bridge, and there's one sort of undercover police car in the central of the bridge where I'm standing now. There's armed guards with guns who are kind of running up and down. I'm not sure what exactly they're doing, but obviously, as soon as this happened, the first thing it reminded me of was the Westminster attack.
You're watching BBC News. Just in the last few minutes, a major incident has been reported in central London. We've been hearing from a BBC reporter, Holly Jones, who was on the scene at the time it unfolded. What she was able to tell us was that a van had driven across London Bridge, which is right in the heart of the capital city, and pedestrians had been knocked down. Well, our reporter Greg Dawson is here with me watching this unfold. It's only just been reported in the last few minutes. Greg, just slowly run through what we know so far.
Well, we got reports just after 10 o'clock this evening of an incident at London Bridge. Now, what we have heard from eyewitnesses corroborating the same information on social media is of a white van mounting a pavement and hitting pedestrians. We don't have a precise figure at this time, but what we do know is that we're getting reports of police boats on the River Thames, with reports that some pedestrians are unaccounted for. Clearly there is a lot of panic in the area right now. You would imagine police are obviously taking precautions too. The London Bridge station has been closed, and the Metropolitan Police have confirmed that they are dealing with an incident. Clearly, it would be very busy in that area, usually on a Saturday night. London Bridge Station is the gateway to South East London and into Kent with overland train stations. It's also a tube station as well. You've got Borough Market and several restaurants and pubs in that area. And, of course, it's a tourist attraction. So on a Saturday night, it would have been very busy at this time.
We're just looking there, Greg, on the Metropolitan Police Twitter feed. Mm-hmm. As you can see, it was 13 minutes ago that they said we are dealing with an incident on London Bridge. When we have more information, we will update this Twitter feed. It's been retweeted thousands of times already, horribly reminiscent of what we saw on Westminster Bridge just a few weeks ago. Yes,
just in March, in the middle of the day, that incident in Westminster where a car again mounted the pavement, knocked people down. We know now what happened there. I think what we'll be trying to ascertain, and the police will be trying to ascertain over the next few hours, is, was this deliberate? Who is behind it? And is this an isolated incident?
Yes, at the moment, as you say, we just don't know. Let's look at the live pictures right in the middle of London. This is London Bridge. As we've been saying, the traffic has now been stopped from crossing that bridge, normally a very, very busy way of crossing from north to south of the river. Those blue lights, clearly the many emergency service vehicles which arrived. The police were the first on the scene within just a couple of minutes of them being called. Yes, absolutely. The police and as well many journalists, because right by London Bridge Station is the offices of News International, which would be the Sunday Times newspaper, The Sun as well. Those reporters staying up late to put their Sunday papers to bed, many of them would be leaving the office, and we've heard from many journalists at the scene who are eyewitnesses to this incident, as well as the police. Yes, and then about 8 minutes later, we understand from our reporter, Holly Jones, who by chance happened to be on the bridge at the time and was able to raise the alarm. Ambulances arrived, and the paramedics were able to give attention. It does seem then that several people have sustained injuries of some sort. According to some of the images, of course not verified at this stage, but they are being tweeted by journalists, is that the images show several people being treated, up to 10, possibly more, being treated for injuries on the pavement on the south side of London Bridge. That's where it would appear that the majority of those people have been injured. And we're not sure what happened to the van. It doesn't seem that the driver stopped. No, we're not sure. Now, there are some reports of police chasing a van, but in the confusion of many police vans arriving, we've had reports of up to 10 police cars heading into that area. You can imagine that at this stage, to verify whether the van is there, whether the person driving it has been stopped, we're still not sure. No, we're not. There have been reports that the driver sped off, having knocked over these pedestrians, and may have hit 5 or 6 people, and the suggestion was that maybe 4 of them had been hurt, some of them severely. And then this van seemed to disappear off towards the Shard, which is, of course, one of the sort of very new, iconic buildings in the city. It'd be very busy at this time of night on a Saturday. It will be absolutely packed. Just after 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, I actually passed that area on my way into work this evening. It's a part of London where several people head in from Kent on the overland trains, and you're talking hundreds of people who get off the train, and London Bridge it's like your sort of first destination that you arrive to if you're coming that way. So many pubs and restaurants in that area. You have Borough Market too. And of course, London Bridge at night offers a lit-up view of Tower Bridge in the distance. It's also a tourist attraction. And so you'll have hundreds of people in that area enjoying their Saturday night, which has obviously been ruined by this incident. Greg, just stay with us for a moment, if you will. But we just... London Ambulance Service, their resilience team have been tweeting. They're saying that we're responding to this incident. More information will follow when we have it. They're saying that multiple resources are attending this incident at London Bridge. They're urging people to avoid the area if they possibly can. Of course, the bridge is now closed to traffic, and Transport for London have also closed the London Bridge station. And the London Ambulance Service also saying, please only call 999 if you have a genuine emergency. Clearly, they're having to divert as many resources as they possibly can to this incident. Just for anyone who's just switching on and joining us, you're watching BBC News. We're reporting an incident that unfolded about 20 minutes ago. We first got warning of it via the Reuters news agency, and our reporter Greg Dawson is here with us. I will speak to you in a moment, Greg, but first let's return to Holly Jones, who is the BBC reporter who quite by chance was on London Bridge at the time this incident unfolded. Holly, thank you very much for joining us again. You had to leave us a few moments ago because the police were approaching. Tell us where you are now and what you can see.
Yep, so I'm currently on the edge of the bridge on the north side at the moment, currently stood outside. The Adelaide House on the right side. So what's happened at the moment, the police, just an update as to what I said earlier, the police are moving all pedestrians off the bridge. All witnesses are being moved into one area on the right-hand side. They've told us that there will be buses coming for these pedestrians, and the witnesses will be moved to a hotel where we will have to be interviewed and told have to say exactly what we saw. Apologies if I'm not making much sense. It's all a bit crazy here at the moment.
Of course it is. You're making an enormous amount of sense, Holly. We appreciate you talking us through it. We will have people joining us all the time, so it's absolutely worth going back to the start and telling us what happened at the very beginning, if you would.
Just an update right now. There's a gentleman that I've seen who's just been arrested by the police. He's got his shirt off and he's currently been handcuffed. He's being put into a police car at the moment. I don't know who that person is, but it's something worth noting. So I was walking on the right-hand side of the bridge from the Shard, sort of towards the north side. And about 20 minutes ago, there was a white transit van with a male driver who came veering along at about 50 miles an hour, obviously speeding. It looked like he turned into the pavement, hit several pedestrians in front of me, and veered to the right. Myself and two other pedestrians jumped out of the way. It was probably about 2 meters away from hitting us. And then he hit some people behind me who I now know are French. One of the casualties, who's on the floor being treated by a paramedic, she keeps saying she doesn't know where her boyfriend is. So currently nobody knows where he is. There's probably about 6 casualties on the floor from what I can see. The white transit van, we don't know where that is, that carried on the road. But it almost zigzags across the bridge and across the pavement. But there's loads of police here now. People have been moved on. There's probably about 8 ambulances. Loads of black-clothed officers with guns. And it's chaos, as you can imagine.
Yes, I can imagine. And you're describing it to us brilliantly well, Holly. Tell us how quickly the police and the other emergency services managed to get there.
The police were fantastic. Within about 2 minutes, the City of London police arrived at the scene. They assessed the situation. They kind of assessed which casualties were seriously injured, went to those ones first. And then within sort of 6 to 8 minutes, the ambulances arrived. I think it was probably myself and 2 other pedestrians that spoke to the emergency services. I think I was the first one through just because they weren't aware of the situation. And then when the 2 other pedestrians that were uninjured who called 999, they said that they were already aware of the situation. But the emergency services have been absolutely brilliant. But now it's kind of a jigsaw puzzle where we're trying to figure out what exactly happened and why.
Yes, when you are caught up in this kind of thing, I imagine, it's never happened to me, but I imagine it's hard to take in what you're seeing.
Yes, it really is. Obviously, I've covered these stories. I hate to say it, I've covered these stories before, and it really is it's just confusing for everybody involved. But of course, we have to just think about the victims and all of this. I haven't seen any children, which is obviously there's no children here. I'm currently being asked to move on as a witness. I'm afraid I'm going to have to go. But,
don't worry, Holly. We understand that you're right in the middle of an unfolding story. We're just watching the latest pictures that we had in. That's Holly Jones, a reporter who was on the scene as this incident unfolded. These are pictures that are coming in from Reuters. You can see it's very, very busy with emergency service vehicles there, and immediately they put the police cones out to stop people getting across the bridge. Holly giving us a fairly clear indication of what happened at the outset of that incident, and my colleague Greg Dawson is the reporter who's following the story here with me, and we're just looking at these live pictures of the blue lights from the emergency service vehicles there on London Bridge. All sorts of reports that we can't corroborate at the moment on social media, Greg, so we'll stick to what we do know. And this, a very busy time of night in the centre of London for this to have unfolded, and reminiscent of what happened on Westminster Bridge in the middle of the day.
Yeah, this is a hugely popular part of central London and a popular destination for people on a Saturday night. It's just by one of London's biggest train stations. It's got several pubs, several restaurants in that area. Now, we know that just after 10 o'clock, we started getting reports of eyewitnesses say a white van hitting pedestrians on London Bridge. Now, eyewitnesses have reported seeing several people injured on the pavement. Now, we do know that the London Ambulance Service has said it's deployed a number of ambulances to the area. Police have also said, the Metropolitan Police have said multiple resources are attending an incident. They say it's a serious incident, and what they are stressing is for people is to avoid the area at the moment. Clearly, this is all still unfolding, but emergency services at the scene trying to establish what has happened and asking people to try and stay away.
Metropolitan Police there, we can see their Twitter feed. We are aware of reports on social media. We will release facts when we can. Our information must be accurate, so must ours here on BBC News, which is why we will deal with what we know and nothing more. Below that, you can see that the London Ambulance Service Resilience Team has also confirmed what Greg's just said, that they've sent multiple resources to this incident, asking everybody to avoid the area. Only call 999 if you have a genuine emergency, because they need to be spending all of their time and energy in the area. There are all sorts of reports that you may read elsewhere on social media. We will not be reporting them until we've had them confirmed and properly corroborated. It's very easy to start speculating, but we know where that gets us. Let's go back. If you're just joining us, you're watching BBC News. These are the latest pictures that we've had coming in the last few minutes from the Reuters news agency, just showing what's been happening on London Bridge in the last sort of 25 minutes or so, when we first got the report that a major incident was unfolding on London Bridge. It's, of course, a very busy thoroughfare to take you from one side of the river to the other. Ordinarily would be chock-a-block at this time of night on a Saturday, but a cordon's been thrown around the area as when all of the different police and ambulance vehicles were arriving at the scene. The police were there after about 2 minutes of being called. Tribute paid to them for the speed with which they got to the scene. And also then about 8 minutes later, the ambulances arrived and the paramedics were able to treat the people who had been caught up in this incident. Holly Jones, the reporter we were talking to a little while ago, she explained that she had seen a man being arrested, put into handcuffs. Quite how he is connected to this incident, we don't know. There was a white van that Holly described as a white transit van that knocked several pedestrians over, maybe 5 or 6 of them. That seems to be the figure that the eyewitnesses are talking about. Several of them injured, some of them seriously. I think there's also a report coming in of people in a pub telling us that I've been told to stay in the pub, people running everywhere. This is saying that it seemed to be on the south side of London Bridge where this incident happened. Police have been escorting people from the bridge. Will Heaven, who is the managing editor of The Spectator magazine, he's been writing on social media that he saw pedestrians were injured. He saw the first responders armed police and people running north. British Transport Police also sending some information, Greg, as well. I don't know whether you have that.
Yes, to the point that they're asking people again to avoid the area. I think with reference to that point of someone saying that they've been kept in a pub, that would be completely normal procedure for the police at this stage. Again, we keep mentioning it's a Saturday night. This area would be packed in normal times. Police, while they try to establish what is going on, are going to do their best to keep people safe. There are dozens of pubs on that south side of London Bridge, just around the Shard, where there are hotels too. So you can imagine their priority would be to keep people safe while they can close down the area and try and work out what is happening.
Let us go back to the beginning, because all the time when stories like this break, people do join us. And we need to recap, of course. So at about 10:30 was when the first reports that came in. That's right. And we heard reports of a white van crossing London Bridge, mounting the pavement and hitting pedestrians. The precise figure, we're not sure at this stage. We've had an eyewitness, a BBC reporter, Holly Jones, who is reporting that she thinks it was at least 5 or 6 people that she saw who were injured. Police were on the scene within a couple of minutes. We've also had reports of one man being taken away in handcuffs. It seems that most of this activity is happening on the south side of London Bridge, which is the busier part at this time on a Saturday night, and close to the tube station and the overground train station as well. So there would have been many people who would have seen this, and quite an operation for the police to clear this area. Yes, Scotland Yard saying on their Twitter feed that they will release more details when they have them. Very important, they're saying, not to speculate at the moment as to the cause of this. We would agree with that, of course. We only will report things when we can actually have them corroborated. These are the live pictures that we're seeing. As you can see, it's all pretty stationary. All of those emergency service vehicles now parked on the bridge, giving assistance to the people who were caught up in this incident. We don't know where this van went to. We don't know what relationship this man who was seen by Holly Jones, the reporter we were talking to when he was arrested and handcuffed, how he's involved, I don't know. But of course, inevitably, Greg, it does remind people of what happened on Westminster Bridge in a fatal attack, again involving a vehicle, but that time it was in the middle of the day. Yeah, that was in daylight hours, and a vehicle drove across Westminster Bridge. Up to 5 people died in that attack. It will also be reminiscent for many people of what various incidents in mainland Europe. We know there was the Berlin Christmas market incident where a lorry drove into crowds, obviously the Nice Bastille Day attack. At this stage, we do not know that this is an attack, but what we do know is that we are getting reports all corroborating the same thing, that a white van mounted the pavement, driving at speed, and hit several pedestrians. There's a Twitter user called Kane who's on Tooley Street, which is right next to London Bridge, also saying the same thing. People still walking away from the scene, police evacuating London Bridge, clearly looking shocked and distressed by what they've seen. You're watching BBC News, and we're reporting an unfolding story that broke at about 10:30, so about half an hour ago, our time. And the reports were initially that police were attending a major incident. It involved one white van that was described to us by Holly Jones, a reporter on the scene at the time, who was able to raise the alarm, along with several other pedestrians, that this van had careered into a number of pedestrians. And Greg, not just police vehicles, but also the helicopter and police boats out. Yes, again, you would imagine for this kind of incident, normal procedure, that you would expect the police to have a helicopter sent to the scene if they're trying to get a grasp of exactly what is happening. The police boats, now what we do know is when that incident happened in Westminster back in March, at least one person was knocked into the river.
there would have been fears, you would imagine it might be standard procedure that if something like that happened again, police boats would be immediately deployed. It's too soon to say whether someone did end up in the river. All we know is that we have seen and heard reports of police boats in the river, but this could just be a precaution.
Yes, indeed. On a bridge, that would be a sensible decision to deploy those boats. Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, has just tweeted in the last few minutes, please follow at Met Police UK for updates. The emergency services are dealing with the incident at London Bridge. And above that, of course, Metropolitan Police, a repeat of what they said earlier. We're dealing with an incident on London Bridge. We'll have more information when we update this Twitter feed. London Bridge station also closed. And I think we're going to be able to speak to somebody in a second. I'll just tell you that Will Heaven, who is the managing editor of The Spectator, was at the scene as well. He saw these injured pedestrians, also saw first responders, armed police, and people running north from London Bridge. He said it seemed that the south side of the bridge was where the attack was centred. We've been escorted by police from the bridge. We're joined on the line now by Giovanni, who is an eyewitness who was there. Giovanni, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us exactly where you were when this unfolded?
Yeah, so I was walking, first of all, nice to be in touch with you. So I was walking towards London Bridge with my friends. We had just went out from a pub, and my friend reportedly started running. So I saw my friend running, saying, "Oh, what is happening? What is happening? There are people on the ground. Everything looks so awful." So I didn't see anything with my eyes, but my friend said, "Oh, there is a van. There is a van, and this van went into people." So, we were there. We were kind of 200 meters far, and then we saw, I think, 3-4 people lying on the ground, and then the police arrived and the ambulance arrived. So we didn't see kind of the whole scene, but a friend of mine saw the van, and I was trying to get in touch with the BBC, with you, and with other newspapers, just to say that I was present at the incident.
Giovanni, can you just pinpoint exactly where this incident happened? Where were the people who were knocked down by the van?
So the van was going towards south, so on London Bridge, and it was heading south, so towards south. And it was actually on London Bridge, so we were on London Bridge, so we were actually walking from Monument Station towards London Bridge Station.
Giovanni, thank you very much for describing to us so clearly what you saw. Chris Wimpress is on the line. He's a member of staff here at the BBC. Chris, tell us where you were when you saw this happening.
Well, I didn't see it happen. A colleague of mine who was down at London Bridge phoned me from my flat. I live about 200 yards down Southwark Street from Borough Market. I was told that there was something major happening down at London Bridge, so I went down to try to piece out what was going on. As I walked down Southwark Street, heading east from Blackfriars, I started to see dozens of people running and walking away in the opposite direction from where I was going, clearly extremely distraught, mostly young people. Many of them were in tears, men walking in an almost zombified state, looking absolutely shocked. I stopped to ask a few people, and as you just heard from your previous caller, it appears that a van came down from the city into the London Bridge area. And then I've just been speaking to a few more people, and it appears that there was a stabbing which took place in the Southwark Tavern in Borough Market. At the same time, there was gunshots, which people heard over a wide area, all the way from the Southwark Bridge all the way to London Bridge. People heard multiple gunshots, gunfire, at least 12 shots, one person said to me. And the police, by the time I got to the perimeter just next to Borough Market, there were even more people who had been put into a restaurant. They had been eating in a restaurant, and they were placed in some kind of lockdown and were sent down to the basement, and they were kept in there for about half an hour, but they heard more gunshots from above.
It's very difficult in situations like this when there's so much chaos and uncertainty to know quite what people are hearing, and often they think they've heard and seen things that turn out not to be quite the case. So we must proceed with absolute caution until we get confirmation from the police. Tell us what this part of London's normally like on a Saturday night, Chris.
Extremely busy. Borough Market is an extremely vibrant part of central London. Pubs, restaurants, extremely busy. And as you'd expect, London Bridge, you've got the overground station, major underground terminal just 100 yards away. It was apparently at 10:15, so you would have had the pubs when they were the most full. I mean, I've lived around this area for a couple of years. There's at least 15 pubs in the Borough Market area, all in a really, really concentrated area, all within about 300 yards of each other. And then you've got the restaurants of Borough Market, you've got restaurants all along Borough High Street as well. The latest thing that's happened is that a group of men who were clearly working on overnight engineering works on London Bridge Station, they've just been evacuated as well, and about 30 men all dressed head to toe in orange high-vis, working, as you see them quite often, overnight on the track improvement works at London Bridge. They've all just been released as well, and they all had similar stories of just hearing this pandemonium.
Where are you now? We're looking at live pictures of the bridge. Obviously, we can see a lot of blue lights flashing, heavy police presence, emergency service vehicles,